Before we begin, it's important to understand where the action genre actually truly began. Most people would say, and for the context of this essay, I will begin with the assumption that it began with The Great Train Robbery, directed by Edwin S. Porter from 1903. The Great Train Robbery set a precedent not only for westerns but for action and the way that stories will tell action. So, The Great Train Robbery is a short film that follows the actions of a group of outlaws that aim to steal from a moving train, and the townspeople then rise up and seek to get revenge, and they end up capturing and punishing the outlaws. This film was revolutionary for multiple reasons, but there's two core reasons as to why it's so important. The first of which is the use of parallel editing. Edwin S. Porter had used this in The Life of an American Fireman previously, but he really expanded upon it in The Great Train Robbery, because there you had the action of the outlaws and then the reaction of the townspeople. And the reason why parallel editing is so important in action cinema is because it is the greatest way to create tension and to create drama, and they are the two cornerstones of action cinema. For example, it's all too common to have a fist fight happening in one location and then to have a ticking time bomb in another, to give context to both through the use of parallel editing makes each one stronger together than it would be separately. And the second thing that's incredibly important when talking about action cinema is to understand the importance of the story that they are actually telling. For example, the use of townspeople actually became something that would become incredibly important in the Western, which would develop action even further. And films as far away as Asia, especially in Japan, and most famously in the case of The Last Samurai, no, not The Last Samurai, The Seven Samurai, utilised townspeople as a massive point, not only in the story as a whole, but in the subtext and in the moral of the story. Townspeople becomes this reoccurring motif throughout action, as to give context and to give people something worth fighting for. And in the case of Seven Samurai, much like in Great Train Robbery, they are an active participant within the action, and it becomes a way to measure the desperation of the fight itself, because once townspeople start getting involved, you know the fight is incredibly important.